Vyasa prasada shrutvan etad guhyam aham param yogam yogeshwarat Krishna sakshat kathayata swayam Vyasa prasada shrutvan etad guhyam aham param yogam yogeshwarat Krishna sakshat kathayata swayam Vyasa prasada shrutvan etad guhyam aham param yogam yogeshwarat Krishna sakshat kathayata swayam. Anyway, we'll read word by word meaning. Vyasa prasada, by the mercy of Vyasadev. Shrutvan, have heard. Etat, this. Guhyam, confidential. Aham, I. Param, the supreme. Yogam, mysticism. Yogeshwara, from the master of all mysticism. Krishnat, from Krishna. Sakshat, directly. Kathayata, speaking. Swayam, personally. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. By the mercy of Vyasa, I have heard these most confidential talks directly from the master of all mysticism, Krishna, who was speaking personally to Arjuna. Purport. Vyasa was the spiritual master of Sanjay, and Sanjay admits that it was by Vyasa's mercy that he could understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This means that one has to understand Krishna not directly, but through the medium of spiritual master. The spiritual master is the transparent medium, although it is true that the experience is still direct. This is the mystery of disciplic succession. When the spiritual master is bona fide, then when one can hear Bhagavad Gita directly, as Arjuna heard it. There are many mystics and yogis all over the world, but Krishna is master of all yoga systems. Krishna's instruction is explicitly stated in Bhagavad Gita, surrender unto Krishna. One who does so is the topmost yogi. This is confirmed in the last verse of the 6th chapter. Yoginam api sarvesham. Narad is the direct disciple of Krishna and the spiritual master of Vyasa. Therefore, Vyasa is as bona fide as Arjuna because he comes in disciplic succession. And Sanjay is the direct disciple of Vyasa. Therefore, by the grace of Vyasa, Sanjay's senses were purified and he could see and hear Krishna directly. One who directly hears Krishna can understand this confidential knowledge. If one does not come to this disciplic succession, he cannot hear Krishna. Therefore, his knowledge is always imperfect, at least as far as understanding Bhagavad Gita is concerned. In Bhagavad Gita, all the yoga systems, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga are explained. Krishna is the master of all such mysticism. It is to be understood, however, that as Arjuna was fortunate enough to understand Krishna directly, so by the grace of Vyasa, Sanjay was also able to hear Krishna directly. Actually, there is no difference between hearing directly from Krishna and hearing directly from Krishna via bona fide spiritual master like Vyasa. The spiritual master is the representative of Vyasadeva also. Therefore, according to the Vedic system, on the birthday of spiritual master, the disciples conduct the ceremony called Vyasa Puja. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitangena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manoabhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utpadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitamsham He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vansha Kalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhye Vacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine. So we'll read the translation once again. Please repeat after me. By the mercy of Vyasa, I have heard these most confidential talks directly from the master of all mysticism, Krishna, who was speaking personally to Arjuna. So it said in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, chapter 19, verse 151, Brahmande Brahmite kono bhagyavan jeev Guru Krishna prasade pai bhakti lata bij. So finding a guru is very fortunate, and Guru and Krishna come manifest in the life of a person after wandering through many universes in different species of life. So Brahmande Brahmite kono bhagyavan, and they are very fortunate. And what do they do? What does the Guru do? He gives a seed of devotional reaper. So in this verse, I find the most important component is that the mercy of Vyasadeva. Sanjay is acknowledging the mercy of his spiritual master, because of which he could hear as well as see directly whatever was going in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So, of course, the entire shloka is, every word is important. This Guhyam, we have come across several times, Rahasyam, Guhya, Guhyataram, Guhyatamam. The knowledge of Bhagavad Gita is very confidential. Entire Bhagavad Gita is mysterious. Although Bhagavad Gita is spoken by Krishna, the book has been existing in this written form even for 5,000 years. But how many understood it? Even after reading Bhagavad Gita, people cannot understand it. Although it may sound like it is all confusing, or it's a general instruction. Krishna is showing various paths. Here also it says in Bhagavad Gita, all the yoga systems are discussed. First 6 chapters are discussing Karma Yoga, middle 6 chapters are discussing Bhakti Yoga, and last 6 Jnana Yoga. So it may look like it is just delineating different paths and not giving a definite conclusion what to do. So people remain confused even after reading Bhagavad Gita, or mostly that is because the translations or the commentary written by unscrupulous so-called scholars, and who consider themselves that they can understand Bhagavad Gita, but actually they cannot, because it's a mystery. It remains hidden. Although it's Krishna so clearly spoke in few verses before that now I am going to tell you the most confidential instruction, and then he spoke 2 verses, and of that one of the verses repetition 9.34 is coming again in 1865. So in spite of this all such clearly pointing out, Krishna trying to point out his message, still people may miss the goal. Like even we see in Bhagavatam, in Krishna book, this Govardhan Leela, before Govardhan Leela, when Krishna as a child is trying to dissuade his parents and other Brajvasis also from performing Indra Puja, he speaks like as if he's an atheist. He says, what is the need to please Indra? Anyway, we should not try to just please demigods. Demigod worship is not recommended for intelligent people. Anyway, they give results which are temporary, and whatever they give, that is also ordained by Supreme Lord. So why should we worship demigod? And then he's giving karma mimamsa, that if somebody does good activity, he gets good result, and if he does bad work, then he'll get bad result. So where is the question of demigod giving some benediction? If you do if you do not have pious credit, even demigods cannot give you good results. Then what is the use? What is the benefit? It looks like it's useless. And then of course we can imagine how Nand Maharaj and all of them must have been captivated by a small child speaking all these sweet words. And but still they do argue that it's not that just by doing good activities good results are guaranteed. Like example is given there that a good physician cannot ensure that a patient will be cured. Sometimes the disease may be so deadly, or maybe somebody reached the hospital late, or they approached the doctor late, and so it may be too late for any diagnosis or cure. Or a child is fully dependent upon his parent, he feels himself fully safe, and of course the parents try to take best care, but still in spite of their best care, attention, and in spite of their all their endeavor to do or protect the child from all calamities, sometimes it is beyond their control. So only good work is not enough to ensure, material good activities are not good enough to ensure good results. They say that. But then Krishna further says that without good activities, since they cannot give good result, so the demigods are not absolute in themselves in rewarding benediction. So there he was trying to refrain Brajvasis from worship of demigod, as well as he was trying to crush pride of Indra. So similarly, sometimes the instruction of spiritual master, or even things what happen in our life, even while we are practicing Krishna consciousness, there may be challenges, and it may feel like, where is the mercy? So we usually perceive mercy in one taste, that it will bring us good luck, and whatever we are doing, it will be successful, or at least we think that in our spiritual endeavors will be ensured success. But it may not be such a smooth sailing boat, because we have so many anarthas, we may require to be purified. So like Indra is not a demon, he is a demigod, he is certainly a devotee, but there was an element of pride, so which Krishna was trying to crush. So the importance of spiritual master is also given by Srila Rupa Goswami in Nectar of Devotion. In Nectar of Devotion, chapter 6, the chapter title is How to Discharge Devotional Service, and there he starts the chapter that his brother Sanatan Goswami has given Hari Bhakti Vilas, which gives different principles of what should be done and what is not to be done by Vaishnavas. All those principles are given, but it's quite elaborate. So he says, I'll just enumerate the most important principles and not go into details. So there, while he starts giving these principles, first he gives 10, then 10, and then additional many more, 44. But then in this first 10, the first 5 are about spiritual master. So first 5 are accepting the shelter of lotus of a bona fide spiritual master. Second is becoming initiated by spiritual master and learning how to discharge devotional service from him. Third is obeying the orders of spiritual master with faith and devotion. Fourth is following in the footsteps of previous acharyas in guidance or under the direction of spiritual master. And fifth is inquiring from spiritual master how to advance in Krishna consciousness. So we can see how how much is important is the role of a spiritual master in our lives. If we want to perform devotional service or surrender to Krishna, we cannot approach Krishna directly. Prabhupada gives example, like sun is very, very far, 93 million miles away, but still sun can enter our room or reaches earth through his sunshine. So similarly, although Krishna is so far in Golok Vrindavan, but he can be approached directly. Like here Sanjay is speaking his realization. He started speaking from yesterday's verse 74. So he is speaking his realization that he heard directly from Krishna and also saw. So this direct experience is because of mercy of Vyasadeva. He doesn't feel proud that I could see because I am such a pure devotee or I am empowered to see. So this is also a very important element, not to become proud. In the chapter 13 from verse 8 to 11, where it's giving the process of knowledge, humility, pridelessness, these are the first important element. Even in Shishtastakam verse, Trinadapi Shunichena Tarorapi Shahishruna, humility, which is complete opposite of pride. This is required to understand the knowledge. Without humility, we cannot even understand. And another thing is, I heard. So this hearing also has a quality, how to hear from spiritual master or from authorities, is with faith and devotion. Like even here it was said, taking instructions and following his instructions with faith and devotion. Primary Adav Shraddha. First we must have faith. Even in the introduction of Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada says about faith, that one must have this, at least have this faith, preliminary faith. Even if they don't have any understanding, they must, if they want to understand, if somebody wants to understand, even get into understanding, not complete understanding, but even begin to understand, one must at least theoretically believe that Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. Unless we have the faith in the person from whom we are hearing, then anything, whatever they may say, we may think this is exaggeration, or this is not true, this is only a story. Like that we may feel. So there, one thing is to hear with rapt attention, like few verses back Krishna asked Arjuna, have you heard with rapt attentively? And one thing is attention, and also pure consciousness. In the purport, there is somewhere that it comes that it has to be heard through disciplic succession and with a pure consciousness. I'm not getting it, but it was there in the purport that it has to be heard with a pure mind. When Arjuna is Krishna is speaking to Arjuna in chapter 9, he says, I'm going to speak to you because you are anasuyave, non-envious. If we are envious, then we cannot even hear the other person. Even before they start to speak, we think, yeah, I know you will say this, like that. Our mind is envious. One time, one devotee shared an experience that she was not liking some particular person, devotee, and one day it happened that it might have happened so many days, but she's narrating her experience of one day that this devotee is about to give Bhagavatam class, and then she thinks, no, I don't even want to hear from him. And then she was leaving, but then somebody pulled her and said, why are you leaving, why don't you sit? So she sat. And because she was already envious, she didn't like the person, if not envious, but there was some interactions in the past because of which there was she was not liking that speaker. Whatever the speaker said did not make any difference to her. The class, she didn't like the class. And as soon as the class was over, she was ready to leave. And then somebody pulled her and said, did you hear the class? It was so nice. And then she was thinking, yes, then she could realize, yes, I could not hear it, I could not understand because I was sitting with an impure mind. So whatever, although the speaker may be speaking very nice, it is not penetrating my heart. So, and actually it is not our capacity to sufficiently glorify the words of Srimad Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam. It is Krishna's word, and like a child we are trying to repeat or share some of our understanding what Srila Prabhupada has given or what we have heard from devotees. So whatever we are saying, it is beyond our capacity, and if we are proud, Krishna will take away this, take away whatever mercy he has given. Without mercy, nothing is possible. And if we become proud, then Krishna will take away, like in Rasa Leela, as soon as gopis, first Krishna was sending them back, but then he agreed. And when they start dancing and gopis were feeling themselves top of the world, everyone thought that I am the most fortunate and only I have Krishna with me. As soon as there was this element of pride, Krishna disappears. So similarly, as soon as pride creeps within our consciousness, Krishna will disappear from his life, from our life, sorry. And we will slowly, we can see that although we might have read Bhagavad Gita before, we might have memorized it, but that connection, or we will not feel rejuvenated even by reading or Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam or in association of devotees, because with such uncontaminated with such contaminated heart, we cannot experience the mercy of Lord. So and since Krishna is Sachidananda Vigraha, of course the individual soul is also Sachidananda, but it is now covered by, has a material covering, because of which we have forgotten ourselves. Like Arjuna said, now I have regained my memory. So what is this memory he has regained? Like we are also forgetful. So what we have forgotten is that we are servants. We are all servants of Krishna. So forgetting this, we think we are master. We are master of all that. We want to be master of all that we see. We want to master, be boss around the people or the circumstances. We want to control them. But we have to understand, after all, I am a servant. So whatever condition Krishna is putting me is for my benefit. If I go on with this consciousness, whether success or failures, happiness or distress, or summer or winter, Shita, Ushna, Sukha, Dukha, Sukha Dukha and Man Apman, it is said. So this is first Shita Ushna is on bodily platform. Then Sukha Dukha is mental platform. And Man Apman is on the platform of false ego. So all these are all dualities. We have to rise above all these dualities, and then we will be able to experience the mercy. Without the mercy of spiritual master, we cannot understand Krishna. Like Rupa Goswami says that in the beginning, if a neophyte devotee observes the above mentioned principles, he will surely and quickly make good advancement in Krishna consciousness. So this is not just actually for neophyte devotees. It's unlike other forms of yoga where they may accept some master or a leader, and once they think that once we have reached perfection, then we can forget our, like it happens even what the knowledge we gained in school and college. Some teachers gave us that knowledge, even that material knowledge, and we may be thankful or may not be thankful. We think I was intelligent, that's why I worked hard and I'm in whatever position. Like that we may be not thankful to them or grateful to them after we leave the school or after we have passed out from the college. But spiritual life is not like that. Spiritual master is not just necessary for establishing the connection, but always his presence should remain. So like in Guruvashtakam that we are singing in the morning, Yasya prasadat bhagvat prasado yasya prasadan nagati kutopi. By mercy of spiritual master, we can get mercy of Supreme Lord, and without his mercy there is no other no possibility of no other destination. Yasya prasadam, without his mercy we cannot hope to reach any perfection. So this is the role of spiritual master. And also in the morning we are reciting 10 offenses. Third offense is to consider spiritual master, to disobey spiritual master, and also to consider him an ordinary person. This is an offense, because he is not an ordinary person. Even in Guruvashtaka it says Sakshad Haritvena Samashta Shastre Ruktas Tatha Bhavyate Eva Satvi. All scriptures say that he is Sakshad Hari. He is directly Krishna. The spiritual master is to be honored as much as Supreme Lord, because he is the most confidential servitor of the Lord. This is acknowledged in all revealed scriptures and followed by all authorities. Therefore, I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master who is bona fide representative of Shri Krishna. So this is also very important factor, that he has to be a bona fide representative. And what does bona fide representative means? Is one who has heard in disciplic succession, Shotyam Brahmanishtam, and he must be fixed. His he must be nishthavan, fixed in this knowledge of absolute. And he in this, as well as in the Guru Puja, Vedegai Jahara Charito, Vedas sing of his glories. So and also the prayers we recited now, Om Agyana Timirandhasya. We are born in darkest region of ignorance, and by mercy of spiritual master, this darkness can be dissipated. So Chakshudan Diloje Janme Janme Prabhu Sei. So Divya Gyan Hriday Prakashito. So this is the nature of transcendental knowledge, that it has to be imparted through spiritual master. Without the help of spiritual master, it is impossible to understand the transcendental subject matter. About all Vedigai Jahara Charito, there is one verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, chapter 17, verse 27. Acharya mam vijaniya navavanyet karhichet namartha buddhe sueta Sarvadeva Mayo Guru. One should know Acharya as myself and never disrespect him in any way. One should not envy him, thinking him an ordinary man, for he is the representative of all demigods. So, about the disciplic succession, Krishna spoke in chapter 4 that I had given this knowledge to Sun God, but in duration of, as the time passed by, the knowledge seems to be lost. So, and then evam parampara praptam. So, disciplic succession. So, about this example is given that Vedic knowledge is compared to a ripened fruit. So, if a ripened fruit falls down from the tree, if to get the fruit, if somebody is pelting stone or shake it or hit it with a stick, it will fall down on the ground. And if it is very ripe, obviously the skin is very soft and naturally it will be squashed and it will contact the earth and the taste will be distorted. Similarly, that unless the knowledge comes in disciplic succession, the import of Bhagavad Gita may still remain a mystery and it will be distorted. So best way to get this mango is if there is someone who climbs up the tree and passes down to a next person, and like that by a chain if it is passed, then the mango will come intact, and when somebody relishes it will be so sweet and pure taste can be relished. So to relish the pure taste, it has to come through this chain of disciplic succession, like the fruit we understand. Similarly about this knowledge also. And the importance of spiritual master is also in this Bhagavad Gita 11:54, Bhaktya tu Ananya Shakyo. There it is said, one who has unflinching devotion for Supreme Lord and is directed by the spiritual master, in whom he has similar unflinching faith, can see the Supreme Personality of Godhead by revelation. One cannot understand Krishna by mental speculation. For one who does not take personal training under the guidance of bona fide spiritual master, it is impossible to even begin to understand Krishna. So even to begin understanding of Krishna, or like it is said, a neophyte devotee must take shelter of a spiritual master. So, and we all of us can directly perceive that unless this knowledge was explained through the kind mercy of Srila Prabhupada, who took time, who comes in disciplic succession, it's given in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, and who took time to go through Acharya's commentary and put it in the words which could be easily understood by fools like us, like me. He put it in simple words so that we could understand. Without mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we would not have even started to penetrate into this. But only, not just Prabhupada, even living gurus or other Vaishnavas, we should be grateful to them, and only by serving them, hearing from them directly, we will be able to understand this in deeper sense. Like there are more books coming up to make, which is not superseding Prabhupada's purport, but they should be read additionally, like Bhaktivedanta purports is there, and then Surrender Unto Me for Bhagavad Gita is there by Bhurijan Prabhu. That is to improve our understanding of Srila Prabhupada's purport as well. But primarily for us, Srila Prabhupada has left this jewel of Bhagavad Gita in an understandable manner, without which this mystery would have remained mystery for all of us. But because of Srila Prabhupada, Now this Bhagavad Gita is most widely published and distributed all over the world in different languages, and not just for sake of records, but we can see how it has brought transformation in the life of devotees. Of course, based on how much we are able to follow the instruction, the revelation may come, or we may make advancement in Krishna consciousness, and we may be at different levels. But everyone can see that by following this instruction, or even trying to follow this instruction, they can perceive some magic, like like we were saying, that if someone does good, he is supposed to reap good results. Then where is the hand of God? Krishna says, Samoham Sarvabhuteshu 9:29. I'm equal to all. So if I do good, and then Krishna is giving me good, and if I do bad and Krishna is giving me bad result, bad reaction, then what is the need to surrender, or what is the use of reading this, or what is the use of this scripture? But in that same verse he says, Samoham Sarva Bhuteshu na me dvesho asti na priya, then ye bhajanti tu mam bhaktya maite teshu tepi mam. So they are in me and I am in them. So but those who so there also but comes. So that means although he is equal, but he is specially partial to devotees. And actually it's not a partiality. Like Prabhupada gives an example that a judge or even like a school teacher, if she may be same to all, equally disposed to all the students, and she's but if she has her child in the class, she will also try to discipline him, but there will be some difference, and this cannot be cannot be called partiality. It's very natural, because there is some sense of mine. So for Krishna, when the devotees surrender, when the devotee is serving him, then Krishna says, they are mine and they are in me and I am in them. So the devotees are in the heart of Krishna, and in the heart of devotees is only Krishna. So then there is a attachment which brings a special favor, and special intervention is there, which is different from the life of those who are not trying to follow, or who are ignorant, or even in spite of knowing, they are they do not care to follow the instructions given in Bhagavad Gita or elsewhere in the scriptures. Like in Bhagavad Gita also 5 topics are there: Ishwar, Jeev, Prakriti. So karma is one item, and if people believed in God, now as days are passing by, more and more people are kind of becoming atheistic. They think that what is the need of God? If we work hard and earn well, I can be happy. There is no need of going to temple or spending time on these religious activities. They are for those who are weak in their heart, they are only worshipping and not doing any useful work. If they were to work hard, they can also earn well and live happily, but they think that devotees are lazy. But actually devotees are very intelligent, and we can see that devotees are actually not suffering. Sometimes, although externally situation may not be very opulent, but whatever devotees need, Krishna takes care, and they are being provided. So this is more peaceful and happy state, instead of than those people who are earning and trying to satisfy their desires for pleasure. But they can also experience that although they are trying to buy some things to which they think that will make them happy, and it does make them happy for a short while, but then their desires also go on multiplying, and they are running after this pleasure seeking venture is never coming to an end. But devotees, because he is satisfied that his needs are taken care of, then he can devote his life, his time for serving Krishna. And he knows only if I serve Krishna, my needs will be taken care of. Krishna says that I carry what they lack and protect what they have. So devotee need not worry about even their material needs. It will be taken care of, taken care by Krishna, and not as much as we go on desiring, but of course we have to deserve it. And Krishna will give not as much as we go on desiring, but he will also see what is good for us. Sometimes we may become greedy, and then Krishna may have to restrict. He may have to say no. So like father may say sometimes no to his child when he is asking for an ice cream. So he may have to say no, but that is for well-being of the child, that he should not fall sick. When it's appropriate time, the father will be ready to give ice cream. But the child may be not mature enough to understand, and he may think that my father is not being kind to me. He is not lending me few rupees just to have an ice cream. He may feel like that, but when he grows up, he can understand that whatever his parents did was for his well-being. So similarly, sometimes Krishna's plans also, sometimes it may look like a harsh result or harsh time, but actually it's all Krishna's mercy, because ultimately Krishna wants all of us, those who have surrendered already and those who have not surrendered also. Krishna wants all of us to surrender and go back to him. He is missing us. He wants us to return back to him. That's why whatever circumstance he is putting us is for our purification. And if we accept this, then we can continue with our spiritual practices peacefully and go on with discharging our devotional services and make advance gradually. And if we do not surrender to Krishna, then we have to surrender to Maya. And we have already been kicked by Maya several times, but due to our rebellious nature, we may be again put to forgetfulness and go to Maya again, and then again after being kicked by Maya, we may come back to Krishna consciousness. But if we are in association of devotees, they will protect us, their instructions. If we are hearing, Srila Prabhupada has given us this program of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam every morning and Bhagavad Gita in the evening. And especially Bhagavatam in the morning is going on in every ISKCON center. And just by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, our consciousness get purified. And even this program is given by Srila Prabhupada in line with the instructions of Bhagavatam. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, serving the Bhagavatam by hearing daily. So as we hear daily, our consciousness will get purified and will not be sent back to or pulled by material attachments again if we drink this nectar daily. And if we are also following other instructions given by our spiritual master, like chanting 16 round, following the 4 regulative principles and engaging in devotional services, if we do all this, will not be forced to go through the repeated cycle of birth and death, but Krishna will very soon take us back to him. Tesham aham samuddharta mrityu sansar sagarat bhavami achirat partha. Very soon I'll take. So Krishna says very soon, and Krishna is not liar. So but this very soon may differ. It can be this lifetime, or we may take one more lifetime. It depends on us. If we are sincere, Krishna wants us back as soon as possible. He is waiting for us. So if we sincerely try to follow Krishna's instruction under the guidance of spiritual master, then we are sure to make progress. There is a very nice purport in the Srimad Bhagavatam chapter 15, which is about instruction for civilized human being, and the verse is 28. And since it is related to role of spiritual master, I would like to read this. One may argue that one may achieve the ultimate goal of life, realization of super soul, by practicing the yoga system and ritualistic performances according to Vedic principles, even without staunch devotion to spiritual master. The actual fact, however, is that by practicing yoga, one must come to the platform of meditating upon Supreme Personality of Godhead. As stated in the scriptures, dhyana avasthita tad gatena mansa pashyanti yam yogina. A person in meditation achieves the perfection of yoga practice when he can see Supreme Personality of Godhead. By various practices, one may come to the point of controlling the senses. But simply controlling the senses does not bring one to a substantial conclusion. However, by staunch faith in spiritual master and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one not only controls the senses but also realizes the Supreme Lord. Yasya deve para bhakti yatha deve tatha guru tasyaita kathita hi artha prakashante mahatmana. This is from Shweta Shvatara Avtara Upanishad 6.23. Only unto those great souls who have implicit faith in both the Lord and the spiritual master are all the imports of the Vedic knowledge automatically revealed. Simply by rendering service to spiritual master, one crosses the ocean of nescience and returns home back to Godhead. Thus he gradually sees the Supreme Lord face to face and enjoys life in association with the Lord. The ultimate goal of yoga is to come in contact with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Unless this point is achieved, one's so-called yoga practice is simply labor without any benefit. So Bhagavad Gita was spoken for this purpose to Arjuna, and Sanjay is rejoicing the experience, remembering the experience. Arjuna and Krishna has stopped speaking, and these are the last few verses. We are in 75 and 78 is the last verse. So we are coming to end of Bhagavad Gita, and these verses are spoken by Sanjaya, how he is experiencing spiritual bliss just by hearing this message. So if we hear with a clear mind, we can also experience the bliss, and our intelligence can be purified, and we will regain our lost memory like Arjuna, that we are servant, and we would agree to be used by Krishna as his instrument, and we will try to serve Krishna under the guidance of spiritual masters as well as others, advanced Vaishnavas, and not independently, because Krishna cannot be understood. It is impossible, it is said. So the mercy of spiritual master is must, and that was the most important part, according to my understanding. I thought I would try to speak on this, that without mercy of spiritual master, it is impossible to understand Krishna. So I will stop here. If anybody has any questions or comments, you are welcome to share. Yes, Prabhu.
If a person doesn't go to spiritual master and just surrender to Krishna,
He is called neophyte devotee. And Kanishta thinks in only pure Krishna consciousness is between me and my Lord. There is a verse in which Krishna says the devotees are in my heart and I am in their heart. So if somebody likes Krishna and he is hurting his heart, how can he think he can please Krishna? So that means his even love for Krishna is incomplete or without proper understanding. So what's your question, Prabhu?
so if a person, there are many persons, they don't like to go through spiritual master, they want directly to go to Krishna. And they speak with Krishna sometimes. They say they will speak with Krishna and Krishna reciprocate with them. So So how is that?
It would be called mental speculation. They are imagining themselves. That verse is there. Ya ne arvindaksha vimukta maninas. They may think themselves liberated, but aru ye krichena parampadam tata padanti. And they are not talking, of course, of this kind of person who are not even ready to surrender to anyone. But even somebody who has surrendered but not taken to devotional service. So that is those who have gone through some not a bona fide spiritual master. They may practice severe austerities and they may think that they have become liberated. They think so. But finally they fall down because they will not be, there is no exchange there. Like even if they get Sayujya Mukti, like the demons also, those who are killed by Krishna, they get that kind of liberation, but finally they cannot remain there because by nature soul is active. And also in Nectar of Devotion, Prabhupada says in the introduction preface, and we can also see that it's a natural instinct of a living entity is to repose their love somewhere. And there has to be an exchange. We want to be loved and we want to love someone. And so if you are doing it to Krishna, but you may imagine that Krishna is reciprocating, and not that Krishna is, it may not be pure imagination. Krishna is also lively in his deity form, but how can we, like in this material world, if we want to approach a chief minister or prime minister, we cannot even approach him. So we may have to go through someone, even before his secretaries, we may have to find someone who knows his secretary to seek an appointment with the chief minister or prime minister of this country. What to speak of Supreme Personality of Godhead, how can we approach him directly? So that would be foolishness. They may think themselves that they are able to talk to Krishna and they have achieved perfection, but they are only hovering on mental platform.
When Krishna is in the heart of everyone, so how we understand that when he is in the heart of each and everyone?
Yeah.
So he is guiding each and everyone what to do, what not to do.
Yeah. So why doesn't he guide them to this, this path? See, there are different ways to understand that Brahmande Brahmite Kono Bhagyavan Jiv. So they have not become Bhagyavan. And there can be several reasons. It can be an offense at the lotus feet of a devotee, that in one life they committed offense at the lotus feet of a pure devotee, and that's why then they are cast into such a hellish state that they can't even surrender. And although they may be given this Bhagavad Gita, they may read, but still nothing touches their heart. So, and Krishna also says there are three modes. People are in three modes. Everything is in three modes actually. Even worship is in three modes. So Krishna is directing, but ye yatha mam prapadyante tam sathaiva. So according to our surrender, so if first minimum faith is there, and faith should be there. And how that faith comes is through hearing, by humility, by submissiveness, that faith can come. And this faith, like devotees are trying to give this Bhakti Lata Beej to everyone. Although Krishna says don't give this knowledge to those who are envious, devotees are trying to distribute to everyone. And some people are changing, but some will not, because they are very mischievous, miscreants, or impious, like Mahaprasade Govinde Nama Brahmani Vaishnava Salpa Punyam Vatam Rajam Vishwasa Naiva Jayate. Those who are very impious, those who have less pious credits, they don't have faith in holy name, Brahmanas, Vaishnavas, and Mahaprasad, these four. So even to have faith in these items, even have preliminary faith, there should be some punya. So, but this is not material punya. It is, of course, it has to be related to bhakti, and this bhakti is being distributed by Lord Chaitanya's mercy. It is being distributed freely all over the world through Sankirtan. Even somebody doesn't want to spend money or doesn't want to hear what Bhagavad Gita is saying, because maybe they are practicing some different kind of faith, they may be Muslim or Christian, but Hare Krishna Mahamantra comes to their ears, and there slowly some pious credit is accumulating. So once they have enough pious credit, then they'll be able at least be ready to hear. And if they are ready to hear, then Bhakti Lata Bij has been, if the Bhakti Lata Bij has been sown into their heart, but still it has to be watered. This seed has to be watered, and this is watering the seed is called Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte. Daily hearing and chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, hearing in the association of devotees, and even not just Bhagavatam, but even Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Sankirtan. Our Yuga Dharma is Harinam Sankirtan for this Yuga. It's so merciful. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu understood that in spite of Krishna giving these instructions, he says, okay, you don't understand so much detailed knowledge, at least just do this much. Sarva dharman parityaja and manmana bhakta. It's so easy. It sounds so easy that the instruction boiled down to just 2 verses. Still we are not able to understand this, and we are not able to surrender. And understanding the fallen condition of these people of Kali Yuga, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu felt so compassionate that he said, he thought, how can I, what can I do? So he gave this Hare Krishna Mahamantra to be distributed freely to everyone without seeing whether one is qualified or not qualified. So it is being given freely, but even to accept it, one needs to have some devotional piety to be able to hear, to start accepting, or accepting on the authority of Krishna, or even to start reading this book. And if they start reading this book, even the introduction of Bhagavad Gita or the preface what Prabhupada has given is so powerful that it can change the heart. I have seen during book distribution, people just read that and they can really perceive that this is what is the difference in this Bhagavad Gita, why Prabhupada calls this as Bhagavad Gita as it is. So this is the he has spoken what Krishna is saying. Understanding the heart of Krishna, he has tried to explain. That's why it has made such an impact in this world. So that's my opinion, and there are so many senior devotees. If somebody may want to add something. Okay, thank you, Prabhu.